Yeah, hi all of you. It's very strange feeling, first time on the stage with a mic. So my name is Tanya. So full name is Tatyana, but you can call me Tanya since we are going to be friends after this talk. Um, I'm a software engineer at Reddit, work there on different surfaces, and today I'm going to talk about home feed, the core functionality of Reddit. And I think, like, my hope at the end of this talk, you have an idea of what's going on inside Reddit when you open the Reddit app. Here is a agenda. It's like slide that briefly describes what we are going to talk about. Don't pay much attention to it. It's a placeholder. So about Reddit. If you're not familiar, Reddit is the biggest website in internet. And the mission of Reddit is empower communities and make their knowledge accessible to everyone. That means that biggest part of the initiatives we are working there on is around users' interests, about communities, about how to help people to discover content they will like and that reflects their interests. And Reddit in 2025, it's like more than 110 million daily active users, and it's more than 100,000 active subreddits. And I'm sharing those numbers on purpose because those numbers dictate the architecture decisions we have to make. And it's time to talk about home feed. What is home feed on Reddit? It's like, so here is a slide that describes you, shows you a picture of home feed, and you can see that it contains posts, and it also can contain multimedia content, but all of this content is created by users. So it's like someone posted this content, and we display it to users who potentially could be interested in this content. Yeah, the main idea that everything here is created by users. And why home feed matters to us. It's the first thing new users see when they pass registration and onboarding flow. It drives the majority of user traffic across Reddit. It's like the core functionality. And that's the way how we interact with users, how we engage with them, how we connect with users. And when we talk about feed, we are not talking about layout. We're talking about the core of the product. And here is initial architecture overview of feed, like what's going on when we actually trying to fetch the feed for user. You can see like few boxes, looks very, very logical, and there is another schema that describes it in a sequence. So when user opens the application, clients send a request to GraphQL service, and GraphQL service makes call to ranking platform where the magic is happening, and we kind of fetching and identifying what posts we want to present to user. From ranking platform, the response from ranking platform is just a list of post IDs. Like we think that those like 10 or 25 posts will be interested for user because it reflects to their interests. After that, after we have list of posts, we do hydration, adding additional information about posts, the information we need to render on the clients. And feels like feed is ready. The last step is to add some ads there, obviously, create GraphQL response and send it back to clients. Like very logical architecture. And here's a quiz time. How many RPS do we have for the home feed at this spike? requests per second. Yeah, it's spike. But it's not like spike. It's like, but yeah, like we can call it spike. So any ideas? Okay, you'll be surprised. Because the C answer is how many requests we have daily for home feed. But like, you're not wrong, it's just different perspective. So yeah, we have 6K RPS for home feed. And it's just home feed. It's like core functionality, but that's not the only one. And once we know what's going on, briefly, when we fetch the home feed, what if we could show not posts only? What if we could show something else in the home feed? And we know it's a core functionality, and there is a first rule of programming. If it works, don't touch it. And like, it's really hard to touch surfaces on the product when they drive like these like big engagement, and like if it is broken, like Reddit does not exist. Like, no one cares about anything if there is no good home feed for them. So, but we are software engineers. We are brave software engineers. So if we decide to make changes, some changes there, let's talk about boring stuff first. Requirements. So for this change, we need to define non-functional functional requirements. And non-functional requirements, it's like our first programming rules. No change to organic feed composition, because it's core thing in product, and like no one will allow you to do this, even if you want to. And I tried, believe me, I tried. So high availability and graceful degradation, it's also clear because of 100 million users. They want to have support, like, I don't know, engage with their communities. No performance degradation, because users are also sensitive to these things. And it should be scalable, because we expect Reddit to grow. We still expect it to grow. And observability is also a big piece of these requirements, because that's how we understand if we and that's how we understand if we care enough about our users, if everything works fine, and if we need to add, I don't know, more time on resources on something, and if there are any improvements can be made. And functional requirements. We want to inject something into feed. That means we want to inject new type of content types, avoid regression for posts, safe experimentation, because it's something new and we don't know how people will react, how systems will react. And the last one, but it's very important, it's to be able to define the merging rule, because like it's not enough to like, I want to inject something. You still need to understand, you need to provide some rules. So other teams and like product managers, usually very creative people, they have great ideas, but we need to have constraints for them. Otherwise, you can have a big surprise from them. So, and brainstorm time. Once we know the architecture, what could be the possible solution? Any ideas? Like, what can we do there with, like, how can we add something into feed? And if you don't have ideas, I have some for you. So too obvious for me was like to add additional call in GraphQL after we fetch posts, and it's very logical, And the other idea is to keep a static list of something we want to inject, and like it's even easier for us to implement and more safer, because it's static list, no external calls, no additional point of failure. And something else, I don't know, maybe someone else has ideas? Please. we are close. You're close, but not that close. We'll talk about this later. But thank you. Thank you for idea. Any other ideas? Okay. So before we go to the last bubble, none of the above, I want to talk about first two to understand like why those are not suitable for us, because the ideas are logical. And I'm not saying that it's bad design. It just not like it just doesn't meet our requirements for now. So external call, that's how it would look like if we add this. It's one potential point of failure, but there are some big problems in this design. And I think I listed them on the slide, but the biggest one is like blind to failures, because ranking platform thinks that we're serving feed, and if something goes wrong on the third step, ranking platform still thinks that we're serving feed, and we don't. So we like kind of have to ask them to help us, because we have a lot of alerts and they don't know what's going on because it's out of their control, and we expect them to serve feed. It's also increasing latency for us. It's something we care about. And the second design, we have static list of feed experiences. The sequence is the same, just we don't have external point of failure, which is good. But the same problem, like if something goes wrong there, a ranking platform thinks that it's still okay, we are serving feed, and we are not. And yeah, changes are happening, changes to the feed happening outside of main system that is responsible for feed. So that's why we created feed experience platform, and it's like internal official name for it. So it's kind of secret knowledge. Thank you. So let's talk about the architecture of feed experience platform. Here's high-level diagram. What changed?
Something disappeared.
No, like from where? But the sensor was about something we want to add from initial design. What changed?
Nothing.
You're right. Nothing. So where are the changes are hiding? In ranking platform, you are close. So let's talk about changes that are hiding in ranking platform. That's the core of the change we are going to talk about. So that's how we see feed experience platform. You can see that there are three big pieces on the screen. Two of them are green. Those are new components we designed, and the orange one is something we never can touch. So we have to keep it as it is and live with it, like with that constraint here. And probably how to read this diagram is like you can see that organic post pipeline and feed experience pipeline, they are on the same level and they are running in parallel. What's next? Okay, let's talk about first piece, feed experience pipeline. What is it? And how it helps us to identify what we want to inject into this orange thing that we can't touch for some reason. So feed experience pipeline, it's actually a list of blocks, and then, let's say, those blocks, they're very independent from each other. So they can run, they run in parallel. They are running with timeout budget. And I can tell you like later why. But the biggest thing here is like, and the most important, they are very much independent. So if I remove one of those blocks, nothing will change in terms of functionality to this piece. And we easily can add blocks and remove them based on our product vision. So, and this architecture is very tolerant to partial failure, and I can tell you why. Here's explanation. So in order to meet a requirement with not degrading feeds, and we are executing with the speed of slowest one, that's disadvantage, but we can live with that. Every block is limited to 200 millisecond timeout budget. And if something is slow, we are sorry for them, but we don't care. Like if something is slow and out of timeout budget, for us, it's more important to serve post feeds, as I said, because it's a core functionality. People, they are more for posts than for these new things they even don't know about because we're currently working on them. So community recommendations on this example, it's out of the budget. It failed somewhere. And we continue with, it can be failed because of timeout, or it can be failed because there is a mistake. And it's easy to make a mistake. We all know how bugs appears in our life. So if something fails, we continue with those that are successful in terms of execution. And in this example, you can see like community recommendation fails, and we still have announcement, and we have undiscovered feed experience unit. I don't know, what is it? Something new. Undiscovered. We'll discover it later. So that's about feed experience pipeline piece. And more or less, it's clear now how it works. Like independent blocks run in parallel, timeout budget, but how to understand, like it can be very long list. It can be list of 20, 50 feed experience blocks. How to understand if user is eligible to those, like there is no, if user is not eligible to those, like we don't want to run them because it's like waste of resourcing. And there is an answer to this question. Before running all those blocks, we have external call to one of our services. I don't have diagram for it, but I will explain in words. So that service helps us to identify if user meets certain targeting requirements. So we're sending list of experience we want to check and user ID. And in that service, we check like what are requirements for a specific experience. Like, for example, it can be like user who has less than 5 subscriptions and they registered less than 5 days ago. They are eligible for like, I don't know, onboarding experience in the feed. So if user meets criteria, we have list of available experiences from this service, and we run only those that user is eligible to. We're not running like 500 experience we potentially could have in that pipeline. It also helps us with like be mindful about resources, because as I said, like 6K RPS, it's not that much. We expect to have more, but it's still a lot. And let's talk about feed experience block. What is inside? So one level down. Here's an example for community recommendations, because I know it better. I work on that. So it's an architecture of community recommendation experience block. And you can see like first step is first pass ranker, second pass ranker, and third pass ranker. I don't know if someone is familiar with those terms. Of course you are. Anyone else? No. So I'll explain. First pass ranker, it's a stage when we actually fetch our candidates for this experience. In this particular case, it's communities, because we want to recommend communities to user. And we fetch candidates based on some signals or some assumptions we know about user. Like subscriptions, we want to fetch communities that users subscribe to. We want to fetch communities that are similar to user subscriptions. We want to fetch like candidates that probably user sometime 1 year ago left a comment, and all these signals. And those and say sources, they run also in parallel. So go-routine inside go-routine inside go-routine, that's our design. Once we have this list of potential candidates, and we call them candidates, we run the ranking for them because it can be a very long list, and we need to understand what are the best for user now. We run this as SPR. It's like, it can be a ML-driven thing. It can be, I don't know, very much like code-based thing. It depends on the case. Once we have ranker and once we have score for each candidate, we are ready to make a final decision and to identify which communities in this particular case we want to display to user. Based on the score or based on something else, probably. For example, like we want to find 6 communities from different sources. So we we take in consideration score, but also we take in consideration the source of this community recommendation. Like if it's like from subscriptions, or if it's from commenting, or if it's from something else. And those 3 blocks, they help us to identify the content. But there is one small at the end of the diagram. It's slot settings. That's very, like, it's mandatory thing for every feed experience. That's where we define how we will inject this unit later in a feed. And surprise, the structure of the feed experience, it's not unique thing. Something else looks similar, and the question is, what is it? No ideas. Why? Okay, I have an answer for you, don't worry. Yes, organic post feed. The only difference is that injection setting block. So that gives us understanding how complex can be feed experience. It's basically, it can be the same pipeline that we use for feed. We just need to add injection settings, and we can inject feed into feed. Go routine inside go routine, as I said. That's our design. And now we talked about feed experience pipeline. And I think we are ready to talk about feed injection merger. So we have organic posts, we have a list of experiences, a list of organic posts. Both of them run in parallel, and of course, all of them run with the speed of organic post. And now we need to understand how we can actually combine them and what are the rules for that. So feed injection merger. It's responsible for 3 main things: positioning, collision resolution, and actually make it happen to insert experience units in organic post feed. For positioning, we have 2 types of positions, static and dynamic. And static, it's easy, like I want my unit to be injected in 5 slots in the feed. That's it, just 5 and no other options I want to consider. With dynamic, it's different. It's like can be very, very like dynamic. For example, I want to inject my unit in a position, a random position from like 1 to 100, 1 to 1,000, whatever. Like, you're not limited there. And let's talk about how it actually what's going on when we want to understand how to inject those and how we like resolve some collisions there. For static positioning, it's, as I said, it's easy. We just check if unit can be injected in a feed, if the static position meets length, current length of the feed of the page. For example, if you want to inject something on 100th slot and we are on the first page of the feed, it's impossible and we skip it. But if we can meet this requirement, we mark unit as ready for injection. Basically, internally in the code, we just add it to a map. With dynamic, it's different. So with dynamic units, we need to add, and static units, setting positioning has priority in front of dynamic. First of all, we go through all units with static positioning, and just after that, we work with dynamic, because dynamic has more opportunities to change its decision. And first of all, we need to understand if slot setting is aligned with current length. As I said, like if we can inject something, if we want to inject something in 100 positions on the feed and we are on the first page, no way. But if we meet those criteria, we need to create a list of available positions. And how we do this, like we look at the static positions first, because those can be taken, like some of the positions, even if the range is from 5th to 10th post, and I don't know, 6th and 7th slot is not available, we need to exclude them from potential like choosing. And once we have list of available slots, we randomly pick one of them. And after that, if there is a unit, no, if there is a slot, we mark that unit as ready for injection, basically add to the map, and kind of block the, that slot for injection. So on the diagram, we can see how it happens. So after we do this merger thing, and we identify all the slots we want to use for injection, we take organic posts feed, and we take the map with our feed experiences, and you can see on the diagram, like we have 2 and 17. That means like those are positions we want to inject our units into. So we always inject after, like if you have position 2, that means we want to inject something after position 2 in a feed. And looks like we discussed all the big pieces on this diagram and haven't discussed something that is also green, but has like tiny border around all these. And any idea what is it? No?
How to orchestrate everything.
Like that's actually a platform, right? That's actually a platform. Like this border is a platform, and the responsibility of this thing is it keeps track on a basic feed metrics like feed length, because we fetch feed with pages, and we want to understand where user is with their journey. First page, also in some internal knowledge, like 7 posts, and second page is 25. But you also can have like third page and fourth page. It depends on how long you want to stay with us. I encourage you to stay longer, of course. We'll also keep tracking how many feeds experience were injected. For us, it's useful knowledge to optimize users' experience. And what was the last unit on the previous page? So we won't inject anything right before that, if it was feed experience. I haven't mentioned yet that, but it's very mandatory for us that we'll never have 2 feed experiences in a row. There should be always a post between them, because people are coming for content. Even if you want to entertain them, they're coming for content first. And what else we have here? Oh, the boring stuff. Sorry, guys. We're coming to that. So the metrics we need to monitor to understand if we serve it. So this slide has 2 columns. Which one? Like right one? It's existing metrics. It's not all of them. It's just short list of them. Basically, we have probably 100 of them. But the main is latency, success failure rate, and empty feeds for us. But with feed experience platform, we had to introduce new metrics because it changes the behavior of the system and how we can track that we serve feed correctly. And what are those new metrics? It's feed experience proportion among returned posts. So we still want to understand what is the part of feed experiences are in the feed. The content comes first. And We also want to have counter for feed experience returned, and it's like kind of heartbeat rate. Like if you return something, that means things is working. Counter for feed experience returned by feed experience time, it's more useful for us in terms of to understand if you want to monitor specific experience, for example, like if you care about specific experience, like community recommendations, we can set up alerts based on the experience type. And partial success and degraded feeds. As I said, we always serve feeds, even if one of the feed experiences fail, or all of them fail, or the whole pipeline fails, we still serve organic post feeds. And to user, everything looks fine. To GraphQL, also everything looks fine because like we return feed. But for us, it's also important to understand what's going on inside. It's not like something we want to probably like fix immediately because we still serve the core functionality, but we want to understand if there are any failures, what can be optimized, and like what's going on. Sometimes changes can do very strange things. So that's why we have this metric, partial success. It's very important for us. And finally, conclusion. So what these things is bringing us, or actually to you. Yes, I see you recognize the guy on the screen. So those are lists of experiences that are currently available for users. It's like chat recommendations, announcements, community recommendations, the one that I used for as example, and probably the one that you can meet right after registration. You can, like, if you want to experience it, like just register on Reddit if you haven't yet, and AMA announcement. If you subscribe to some AMA, we also show you the announcement about this, so you'll never miss it. I don't know. And yeah, like it's funny stuff for us, but we also need to think about business metrics. And for this specific initiative, it's hard to understand, like it's hard to estimate business metrics because what impacts on business metrics is experiences, not the platform. But all of those experiences, and from my experience, all of those initiatives, they drive retention metrics, new subscriptions because we use those for recommendations, subreddit visits, and engaging metrics. Those the core metrics we care about when we talk about like user experience on Reddit. And we're almost at time, see? I hope this talk leaves you with ideas for your own products. And I wish you all the best.